Greetings, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are logging in from. And also going live on IG. Wherever you're joining from, let me know. Shoot your city name or country name, location in the chat. Say hello. It's always, that's probably my favorite part of the live chats is seeing where everybody is logging in from. So throw that in there. And grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee or wine. And we have some good topics to discuss. Hey, everybody. Hi, Miguel. Hi, Samir. Hi, Anna. Charlie from Arlington, Texas. Larry. Hi, Johnny. Hi, Emily. I don't know if you're in Hawaii, in which case it's an early Sunday morning for you. Hi, everybody. Eric, James in the house. Well, you're on the West Coast. It's kind of early for you too, I guess. Irene from Spain. James is from Cali. Not sure where in Cali. Alex from Brazil. Always here with me. Always appreciate that. Gerard, hi. Let me know where you're from. Shoot your location into the comments. It's always nice to get that in. Back to back. Okay, just marry me. Wait, why? Got to give me a reason to marry you, actually. You can't just tell someone to marry you. You got to be like, hey, here are all the reasons to marry me. Hi, George. Eka. Aloha. Aloha means Hawaii. Hawaii's in the house. One of the topics that we're going to be talking about today actually has something to do with one of the conversations I had with my students after our workshop, this amazing Empowered Movement Intensive that we did in Hawaii. It was my first time doing it like this, actually, with three different topics instead of one topic. Usually I would do like partner work, an intensive 3 or 4 hours on that, or musicality or creativity or spins. So this one was kind of a combination of going through fundamentals as well as connection, as well as musicality. And then after, the best part was, the beauty of Hawaii and the beaches just 10 minutes away from wherever you are on the island. We were all able to gather at this place called Magic Island. And I'm out of focus. Stupid phone or stupid Instagram. Probably phone. It's a Note 8. It's old. So we gathered at Magic Island and we all brought some food, and it was magical. Like, I cannot wait to go back. I'll be back there in April, and I cannot wait to do another intensive and also to have this time after the workshops. And I have some games for us next time. So I'm a warning, my games are dumb and silly, and you're going to look like a goofball with me. Just saying. Leftheria from Greece. I kind of took a guess with that with the name. Johnny, of course, Luxembourg. Greg is in Nigeria, of course. I wished I could be there. So close to joining. Mikey Wisniewski was in Philippines, if I'm not mistaken. Manila, right? Juanito, New York. Jihan, my Kardashian. Puerto Rico in the house. Amazing. Of all the places I've been, I cannot believe that I have not been to Puerto Rico. This is my freaking magnet wall, and I have not been to Puerto Rico, and it's so close. I think that's going to be one of my next stops. This is going to be one of my stops for this year for sure. Another place with beautiful beaches, right? All right. Emily, you're still in New York. Okay, gotcha. I was going to say, damn, girl, you got early. Johnny already got me a badge. Thank you, Johnny. Of course. So a couple of little pointers, little housekeeping before we get started. What is the purpose of me going live, especially if you're joining me for the first time here on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram? The live chats are really just a way for me to engage with all of you and to answer your questions. I get a lot of questions through like DMs and sometimes in the comments and sometimes just through conversation at workshops or at dance events or anything really, right? Sometimes it's not even dance related. And I feel like the questions are fantastic, and I know a lot of us deal with a lot of those same issues, except we might just not be in a position to ask, or we might not have the courage to ask in that moment for whatever reason. We might just not be capable of asking. So I feel like when we get a chance to discuss those questions and bring answers to the table, and all of you can also add your input to that, I feel like we all benefit, we all grow, and we all improve as people, as dancers, as speakers, as friends, in every aspect. So that is what the purpose of these live chats is, in case you're wondering why you're here. We do have a topic that we're going to be discussing today, which is the whole like, how good are you really, which I'm going to get into momentarily. But while you are here, please let me know if you have any questions. Throw them into the chats. If you want to support the channel, all you got to do, simplest way, is throw in a like, share the video after. It'll be on YouTube, the replay. And of course, if you like to buy me a coffee or something, you can do that. There's a link on the Facebook and the YouTube to buy coffee. And on Instagram, you have the option of getting badges. So that is always a lovely way to support. And I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And yeah, it's kind of like we're doing a little coffee, right? So I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee because I always make coffee and drinks and stuff like that, and I put them on the side, and I never end up drinking them because I keep on talking. So yeah, if you have any questions, please throw them into the chat. I am gonna try and get to everything today. Not everything, because I go over most of the time, like way too much, but I always say 30 minutes and it's always longer. So I will try and get to as much as I can today. And if not, don't worry, I will try and hold on to those questions, or you can send them, leave them in a comment on the YouTube, and then I can at least go and find them later for a future live chat or another video of my own. Okay. So I got some people over here. Gerard from Ireland. I have been to Ireland, Gerard. I have been to Cork. I have not been anywhere else, but Cork was really beautiful. All I got to say is the Irish, you guys can drink and dance, like surprising amount of coordination that you have, despite the amount of alcohol in your system. It's impressive. Plamena from Germany, Leonise from New Jersey. Never Dublin. Nope, unfortunately not. So don't forget, throw your questions in there. I am going to, Martha from Spain, answer a couple of questions from the previous one. Tira's in the house, one of my students from the Hawaii Empowered Movement Intensive. Lovely, lovely lady. Bacchus in France. And all right. Erica, lovely to see you virtually, or just your little image. Okay, here we go. So, what do simplest question first? Dream Music Online. What do you put in your coffee? Absolutely nothing. I like it straight. I used to have a difficulty with that. I only drink espresso. Actually, I don't even drink like the big cups of coffee, but I used to have a problem with that. I always put so much sugar into my espresso, like the small, tiny espressos. I would throw 3 or 4 packets of sugars in there, and everyone was basically laughing at me saying, "What the hell are you doing? That's not even espresso anymore." Um, and then I tried intermittent fasting, and I was like, what can I have when I'm outside that doesn't have any sugars or cream or anything like that? And I was like, espresso, but I can't add sugar to it. So I really had to get accustomed to drinking it bitter. And now I actually enjoy the taste. So we're capable of everything. Yeah. Gerard, I'll cheers your cappuccino with my espresso. Johnny asked, when are you going to Puerto Rico during the annual Salsa Congress? I did not have a plan for that. I mean, Puerto Rico's not far, so I might just go for the hell of it. All right. So question from the last chat actually was from Billy. This question was, that salsa was looking, let me actually find the exact question. What does salsa dancing look more and more like West Coast swing, i.e., turn patterns more important than footwork and body movement? Is it a question of this is what the people want, or what salsa schools and teachers want people to want, since it puts money in their pockets, and it's their bread and butter? Excellent question. Sorry, I was not able to answer that last time. Um, I wouldn't say that salsa looks more and more like West Coast swing unless you're talking about certain trick type of movements, which I find generally appear when it's performance time and not really so much in social dancing, unless, of course, I'm dancing and then you never know what's going to come out on the dance floor. But you could say the same thing with West Coast Swing, how it started to get more Zouk influence because of where the instructors are seeing what they're being exposed to. Salsa, as I've always said, is a mix, right? By definition, salsa is this mix of things. And yes, there's a foundation for it. Yes, there is something that makes it salsa, but at the same time, there's a lot of evolution to the dance that has happened throughout its history. And in terms of more patterns, I guess it's just ways to interpret the music and ways to see what we can create. I mean, everything that we're doing in dance and everything that we're doing in whatever hobby or life that we're in, life that we're living, has evolved, right? And it might not be the tradition, but it is something that still adds to the dance. So I feel like if it's not taking away from the dance in terms of, I'm not sure what other thing could be compared to this, but as long as it's not taking away from the dance and as long as there's still a connection element, I think it still retains the essence of salsa. So Billy, I know you might not be in here yet, but that's what I would say. And this stupid hair is not, I tried to actually, I'll put an effort to look presentable to all of you, and this is bugging the shit out of me right now. Sabrina in the house from Austria. Wade just bought the coffee. Thank you, Wade. Love you. Same about kizomba getting more and more like salsa, and the same about, I mean, even salsa has like movements that are very close, and bachata has taken some stuff from kizomba. I think ultimately, instead of looking at it and saying this is bad, is to look at it and say, what is good in this? Maybe you don't like it completely, but I'm sure you can find something that you enjoy about it. And that's the goal, is to like embrace the changes, because the changes are going to come. Like change is the only constant, that kind of concept, right? Johnny, thank you. The second question I got was from Ben. What is one aspect of salsa that doesn't get covered enough? Can anyone guess my answer to this? I'm curious how many of you know me and how well do you know me? Oh, and also I have another question for everyone in chat right now. I would like you to tell me levels. We'll get to this eventually. This is the main chunk of today's live chat. But with beginner, advanced, and beginner, intermediate, advanced, I want you to write it out in a way that makes sense. Like you could write it as comma, or you put them in one line, or you can put them stacked on top of each other, however you want. I just want you to give me a visual of what you think that progression looks like. Okay, write it out in chat. You can actually do this visually just by writing it out. Okay, let me see. I don't know if you can do it on Instagram because it doesn't. We'll see. I think you can though. Let's see. Um, right. So what is one aspect of salsa that doesn't get covered enough? I'm not sure about other dances, but in salsa, I would say that the fundamentals generally do not get covered enough. And the reason I think they don't get covered enough is because they don't have the razzle dazzle that fancy moves and fancy partner work and footwork and all of that stuff has. However, without strong fundamentals, you don't have anything that you can build upon, right? And unfortunately, yes, it does come down to our teachers and what we feel we need to be teaching so that we can get people in through the door, so that we can have a business where we can continue to grow the scene and um, uh, encourage new dancers as well as improve our existing dancers. But If we don't make the fundamentals interesting in some way as instructors, then we're basically telling our students the exact same thing, that they're not that important, that they are something that can be skimmed over, that they are boring, right? So I always say it's a management thing, it is leadership first and foremost. And so we as teachers being leaders in our community, we need to make that element of dance something that's fun and exciting and makes you want to go back and revisit it, even when you've passed the stage of being an absolute beginner. The workshops that we did in Hawaii, the Empowered Movement Intensive, was all about this. Like we did our first workshop, I think we kind of got into the basic at the very end. We focused on how to step, how to move, how to counterbalance, when to counterbalance, how much do you counterbalance, when do you step a certain way, because every step has a purpose, and how to define the purpose of that step, and how to know when it's different. Like these are little things that you understand about just the movement itself without even going into a single aspect of the dance. Same thing with connection. How do you connect? How do you make that contact with somebody? How do you create the compression? How do you read the changes in direction? And how much force do you need to give to create a change in direction? And how much force do you need to connect to respond to that change in direction? Right? Those are all fundamental elements of connection without ever having to go into any salsa movement or any turn pattern or anything like that, right? But we don't focus on that. We go right into here's a styling move, here's a footwork sequence, here is a fancy turn pattern. But most of the time, what I see is really sloppy steps. And if I'm dancing with those people, including some pretty advanced dancers, I feel kind of a mediocre connection, right? Not because they're bad dancers, just because they're missing those little connectors, those connecting points between what they know and what are the fillers. And the fillers are your fundamentals, right? It's one thing to be able to lift your hand and rotate it to give somebody a turn. It's another thing to make sure that your connection is solid throughout that, and that you're pushing when you're pushing and you're pulling when you're pulling, and you're creating a place for someone to stop when you need them to stop, and where your lats engage and all of those things. If you're just coming out of your shoulder joint, yeah, you're giving a right turn, you're giving the lead, but is it a quality lead? All right. So, why is this always all right? So that's why I would say that fundamentals are super important, and also that I would say they do get overlooked and they don't get covered enough, and they can be covered in a fun way. My Hawaii students, if you guys are in here, I feel like most of you probably are not. And if you woke up for whatever reason to check your messages and see, oh, someone's live, Magna's live, let me check, and then go back to sleep because it's early over there. You guys know, and some of my students over here, Alex, Wade, who have been in some of the live intensives, also know there are lots of ways to actually do your movement, to focus on basics, to focus just on movement, and then take that knowledge and apply it to actual moves, actual salsa moves, salsa footwork, salsa turn patterns, all of that stuff. Okay. Uh, Ben is, I don't know if he's here. I can't tell because unless you guys actually say hi, especially on the Facebook and YouTube, I have no idea who's joining and who's out. Billy, you're here. I answered your question. I don't know if you were here when I answered it. Well, okay. So I still haven't seen anybody write things out. What's going on? Oh, I want to see beginner, intermediate, advanced. How would you write that? In a line, do, 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 that's a progression, or top down, or bottom up. Show me, show me, show me. I know there's a delay, but I'll answer some other questions in the meantime while I'm waiting through that delay. Um, Tyrex just commented, said, I've been dancing for 6 years and I'm still perfecting my basic. And to be honest, so am I. I've been dancing for over 20 years and I'm still perfecting my basic, because everything I add, everything that um, is new, everything that's evolving in the dance forces me to go back and revisit my basic. because now my basic has a different purpose, right? I can't assume that the thing that worked with A, now that B and C have been introduced, is still going to work exactly the same way. I need to adapt my basic to B and C so that I can really use it. So great point. And I'm glad that you shared that. Thank you. James said, beginner margarita, intermediate tequila, advanced open bar. Um, yeah, I'm gonna pass on all of that actually. Um, Combos with the instruments. Dream Music Online. I'm sorry. Sometimes I see people's Instagram names and I don't know the actual name, even though I've maybe chatted with you because it does not coming to me right now. So I'm just saying your whole Instagram handle. If you're just starting, what do you think would be the first fundamental of dance? I would say your basic plus the timing of the music, like to get into the rhythm. And that's something that you don't really need too many moves to do, but you really do want to know how to step in a way that keeps you on beat and on tempo. The first identification, ideally, with your dancing should be to identify the tempo so that you can stay on beat. Because once you start going off beat, that's where the disconnect starts to happen, especially if you're dancing with someone who does understand the timing and the rhythm of the dance, then they can definitely feel that we've gone off time, right? And so it is important to make sure that you can understand how to step on time. After that, I would add a couple of your basic moves so that you can then develop movements that are still focused on staying on time and moving with the music. Then there's your connection element, of course, connecting with your partner, again, focusing on some simple connection points and then working through that with a partner, making sure you're maintaining the right distance and the right frame. And then as you start to build more and more, I feel like every class should go back and revisit some concept of some theory from your fundamentals, from your basics. Like, all right, guys, we're going to be doing turns. Let's talk about where our frame is. What muscles are we engaging? Right? We usually don't go in that way. Like, oh, okay, we've already done a right turn and left turn in beginner class. Now let's just do double turns, right? Here's your prep and here's your spin. But there's so many more elements to that, right? If you've led a single right turn, it's very different from leading a double turn. And it should be broken down in a way that focuses on those details. Hope that answers your question. All right. So Wade, beginner, understanding how to follow the music. Nahir said top three qualities for leaders. I have a feeling that I have not been understood. And I take responsibility for that, that I probably did not communicate that well. So I am going to explain how most people I feel um, quality of patterns versus quantity, beginner, intermediate, advanced. Okay. Yeah, I definitely did not communicate this well enough. I think it would have been easier if I put like little stickers and somebody came and arranged them for me. So there are, let's see, maybe I can do it here. I don't want to bend this. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. And of course, I'm going to get tangled somewhere in this process. 2 seconds. Let me get some paper. Okay. All right, I'm back here. And I am back over here. Okay, so 3 words, right? Randomly, I'm just going to write them out randomly. Or rather, the way most people would write it out would be beginner, intermediate, advanced, right? Like so. Oh, that's probably backwards. Is that backwards over here for you guys? Nope, it's not. Okay. So beginner, intermediate, advanced, because we're thinking that it's a progression in this direction, right? But the problem with that is when you think that each of these stages is a different stage of its own, you forget the importance of knowing the previous stage, right? And so that how good are you really is based on some student comments that where they felt like, well, if they go to a party a social where there are dancers who are way more advanced, they feel like they're not good enough. And really, it's not about the beginner being good enough. For me, it's about the advanced dancer being good enough to dance with you as a beginner. Because instead of looking at it like this, I wish I could write it backwards for you guys. I know you're seeing this because this is my right hand, and that looks like my left over there. Yeah, okay. Because and the other way would also be another way to write it would be beginner, intermediate, advanced, right? So top down, beginner, intermediate. I don't know if you guys can see that. For me, the way I look at it is your foundation is your beginner stage. Then intermediate is above that. Then advanced and pro and all of that is above that. I can't write. So really, it should be like that. Let me see. Right? Because if you're a beginner, this is what you know. When you're an intermediate, you should know this and everything it requires to be a beginner. And when you're advanced, you should know everything underneath that, right? And most of us, as we advance in whatever it is that we do, and I will give you a perfect example of myself where even I am not as good as this, okay? Not really in dance because I do really focus on my fundamentals. But let's all take the example of language. Why am I always going out of focus? Let's take the example of language, right? We all learn language a certain way. Here are your pronouns, this is your nouns, this is your verbs, this is the way that everything gets set up. Eventually, as we start to build our vocabulary and now we know how to speak, right? We can talk to anybody, we can talk about any topic, we can find all these words to put together. But for me at least, right? And I don't know who else is in the same boat. You can throw in a little hand to support me that I'm not alone here, but I don't mind being alone either. Um, I couldn't sit there and break down my sentences and say, this was I mean, I could say verb and a noun and stuff, but this was a supposition and a preposition and all. Like, I couldn't do that now. I mean, I did that when I was in school. I learned that to learn how to speak and learn how to form sentences. But now that I'm at this stage of communication, even I don't know that, right? But language, I mean, we could look at it unless we're actually doing it for the purpose of teaching. Sure, we could overlook the fact that we don't know those details. But dance is a passion, right? We're not doing it because we need to survive, right? We're not like, oh my God, if I don't know how to salsa dance, there's no way I'm going to be able to buy bread at the grocery store. No, right? We're doing it as a passion, which means that we should be trying to invest a little bit more in the true understanding of it because it's a passion that not only involves us growing, but sharing our growth with somebody else and helping somebody else grow as well in that process, even though that process might just be 5 minutes of a social dance on the dance floor. So for me, when people say, you know what, I don't feel good enough. I don't feel like I'm good enough because of all of these advanced dancers who I can't dance with. You shouldn't be expected to. You're still learning all of these things, right? You're at that beginner level. So you've got maybe 10 things, right? You got 1 to 10. Intermediate's got 20 things, which includes 1 to 10 plus 11 to 20. Advanced has 30 things, which includes 1 to 10, 11 to 20, and then some. So there should be no reason for an advanced dancer to not dance comfortably with a beginner. There should be no reason because what you do as an advanced dancer in that situation when you're dancing with a beginner is you remove 11 to 30 and you play with 1 to 10 because that is in the repertoire of your partner. And if you're dancing with an intermediate dancer, you remove 21 to 30 and you've danced within the repertoire of your partner. Sure, you can throw things to challenge them, but the goal is not to say, oh, I know 21 to 30, I know 11 to 30. You don't know that? That means you're not good enough to dance with me. Mm-mm. You're not good enough, actually. Because you then are not advanced. Then you don't have 30 things. You just have 21 to 30. So you have exactly the same amount of things as the beginner, just a different set of things, right? Um, I don't know if everyone was following me with this, with the whole, uh, diagram of how I would put those things, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. But this is a really, really important one. And the reason it's so important is because including people and making beginner dancers feel welcome is not just about dancing with them. It is about dancing with people, using what you have and understanding what they have, and bringing your knowledge and your experience to mix with theirs in a way that's harmonious, that can create something beautiful. Doesn't have to be advanced. Just because you're advanced doesn't mean you're always going to have advanced dances. That's not what it's about. Because once you get to that level, then actually you kind of lose those beginner elements, those intermediate elements, just like conversation, just like language. Where I've learned to really improve my speaking isn't in forums like this. It's when I had to travel to another country and teach people who did not have English as their first language. All of a sudden, I had to really see if I could communicate the message that I was trying to get across with simpler words, with a simpler structure that they are learning in that moment about English, right? So maybe they're even like intermediate dancers, but maybe English is their beginner level and I'm here at advanced level. Well, I can't just sit there and be like, oh, strategy this and all these fancy words. That means I'm just using 21 to 30 to communicate with them when they only have 1 to 10. So I need to bring it back down to be able to communicate. Dance is no different. It is a communication, it's an element of communication. And you always try to connect with the person in front of you. And you connect in whatever way is accessible. And just because you're an advanced dancer and it's not accessible, the timing, maybe your partner is offbeat or whatever the case is, that means all of your advanced moves are not accessible in that moment. You want to be thinking about what's accessible to facilitate a connection. Okay, so you see, like, haven't touched the coffee. So I'm gonna have a coffee now. I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee and I am going to read through your comments. um, James, creativity, musicality, and an openness usually builds as you advance, of course. Uh, Wayne from Bermuda, always doing basics when I feel lost. Hell yeah, me too. There are many times that I stop my dance mid dance with my partner because both of us lost the time. We're like, wait, what time is it? You're on too? Why? I don't know. Hold on, wait. Let's stop and we look at other people. Right? Who cares? Andrea, Dream Music Online. Andrea, got you. I got you this time. I apologize. It's possible you're going to join me on another live chat, and I'm going to be like, Dream Music Online, Dream Music Online. Um, all right. Felicien in the house from France. Excellent question from Irene here. How much do you think dancers must be gymnastics or develop their bodies? Excellent question. I think I don't think gymnastics is necessary unless that's what you're trying to do. I think the first step is I don't know if I read that question clearly for everybody here. Sorry, I just kind of read that to myself. So Irene asked, how much do you think dancers must be gymnastics or develop their bodies? I don't think that it's necessary that you have to do that. I think it depends on your goal and your purpose. So, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to do performances? And in those performances, be able to do all these tricks and splits and all that stuff? If that's something that you want to do, then yeah, you need to train and develop that flexibility and that gymnastic ability. If you are dancing and you want to be able to dance all night, right? then you need to develop your endurance. So maybe some conditioning exercises so that your heart rate doesn't peak after two songs and you have to take a break for the next 10, right? That is a matter of what is your goal. If you want to go out and have one dance and then sit down and eat and drink and talk, and then maybe an hour later have another dance, then I don't think you need to do anything to develop yourself to be able to have that dance. So ultimately, before thinking about the packaging, right? How are you going to present? What are you going to train all this? Think about the purpose. Like, why are you doing what it is that you're doing? Right? Why are you training this way? Because everyone else is doing it? Who cares about everybody else? What is it for you? Is there any purpose? Like, you never want to perform, never wanted to do tricks and all that stuff, but you see all of these other dancers and the teachers that you're learning from are super flexible and able to do all these things. So that's why you're learning all of that stuff. Like, but when are you going to get to use it? When are you going to get to apply it? Right? Now, on the other hand, if those things that people are doing to improve their gymnastic ability, flexibility, endurance, and all that stuff, you start doing some of those things and you feel healthier, right? You feel more confident, you feel better in your body, you feel like you can do more, then yes, absolutely. Because now the purpose might not be dance, might not be a performance per se, but now the purpose is a healthier lifestyle. And in that sense, yes, I would agree. Go ahead and pursue it, right? But think about why you're doing the things you're doing. There's so many things that even me, I'm guilty of it. Like, I'm saying you think about why you're doing it, but I have to do that too. I just want to be really clear. Me being able to talk here is not because I've always been born with some gift of, knowing the right way of doing things and talking about things. No, it's because of trial and error. It's because I've made those mistakes. I have gone through that process of like, why am I doing all of this? I'm never going to do this. Right? Why am I putting all my effort into this when I'd rather be putting my effort into something else? Right? So I've been there. You're not wrong to think that, to ask that. But now that you're here, now that you've asked that question, I hope that you can stop and think back and say, why? Why do I want to do this? Is it going to serve me, serve my dance goals, and serve my personal goals? And if it is, by all means, pursue it wholeheartedly. And if it isn't, think about something else that can benefit you better. All right. Okay, I'm going to come over here. Just want to go through Debraj from Calcutta in the house. Good to see. I'm not the only teacher to teach that. Felicien, my friend, my brother from another mother, from Paris, France. Amazing kizomba dancer and instructor, and a real stickler for fundamentals and all of that stuff, and a really friendly person, great person to learn from if you are ever in Paris. Um, Tyrek said, beginner, timing and connection, intermediate, sense of place in the dance and the music, confident, creative, and awesome. Power of the pyramid. Yep, exactly. Except it's interesting. The pyramid is like a reverse pyramid in terms of the quantity of things, but still the beginner is at the bottom. um, Beginner because you have been. And yes, Andrea. So then, as an advanced dancer, you would know how to connect to the beginner because you have been in that place before. Absolutely, that's the idea. An advanced dancer, Tyrek said, can make a beginner feel like they can dance. Absolutely. I actually posted something. Tyrek also said it's the horrible egos in the dance community that I'll never understand. Okay, hold on, wait. I got to come back to that. Okay, hold on. I'm not scrolling. I'm away from this one. But I actually posted something, a small clip, a dance video actually with my old friend dancer Uriel, who is now in Florida, who I got a chance to see as a surprise when I was in Miami. Anyways, we had this lovely dance. I think it was our second dance after 10, over 10 years, I think. And there are a couple of moves in that dance he did not lead, right? And I was able to lead them, but because he was able to follow me, because he's a good leader, right, who understands how to adapt to a follow, it looked like he led the move, right? So yes, I absolutely believe that an advanced dancer can make a beginner look like they can dance at a much higher level than they might feel like they're at. Um, Okay, let me just say a couple of hellos and some questions over here. Da, 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 da. Yeah, see, I definitely did not say this properly because I got a whole bunch of people, even over on Instagram, telling me, okay, well, beginner includes these things, and an intermediate includes my fault. I take responsibility for that. But excellent answers. Wade said, beginner is how to read and follow the music. Intermediate, refining your learning and inserting yourself. Advanced, freedom, becoming the visual of the music. Beautiful. Nico dropping by to say hi. Hello. Uh, Flameno, clave singer, the whole band. Sabrina said beginner, intermediate, advanced, intermediate. Yes, there are also those many levels that we can break it down to, but even no matter what levels you're breaking it down to, it's still beginner at the bottom and then building on top. And everything that's here needs to be within each level above. Like you should not be able to expand, or sorry, to consider yourself at a higher level if you have not understood this. And if you cannot, at the, upon request or demand, be able to revert and just go back to that level below. Um, Billy says, we learn the three stages in a more abstract way: learn the rules, master the rules, break the rules. Yeah, that's what I always say. That's on my website too. That's been my philosophy for pretty much everything in life. Judy says, it's such a thrilling dance when a really advanced partner dances with me at my level and we can execute something new. Absolutely. It's beautiful what you can create when you allow for those things to happen. Um, Erica said, I love this. There are many advanced dancers that only rather dance with advanced. Some don't even consider asking a beginner. See, for me, there are many times that I go out to events, and sometimes, yeah, of course, I'm there for my own enjoyment, just like everybody else, right? And I am not going to feel guilty about that, and I'm not going to apologize for that because that's what I'm there for. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm just there to enjoy myself. Sure, there are some dances that I do. I want an advanced dancer because that's the kind of dance that I want, and I am comfortable asking for that and saying no to a beginner if that's not the kind of dance that I want. However, there are many times that I've gone to events and maybe I don't see anybody. I don't sit there and wait for the advanced dancers to come. I just go around the room and ask everybody else. Because again, my goal, one, is to dance. So if the music is good, really, it's all about the music for me. If the music is good, I'm on the dance floor. Two, I look at all of those opportunities as new ways to drill my basics. Somebody else was mentioning that, Tarek, I think you said 6 years, you're still working on your basics. That's how I look at those dances. I'm like, here's an opportunity for me to adapt my follow to a lead that might not be as clear as I would like it or as I might get from someone who's more advanced. So how good of a follow am I really? Right? So yeah, for me, it's fantastic how much you can how much you can get from those experiences if you just open your mind to them first. Um, Wade, uh, end goal definitely will understood from this side. It's also a way to prepare the dancers about the end goal by steps to enjoy the music, transmitting that flow to whoever you dance with. Absolutely. Hi Juan. Separate. Do you have? Okay, so you can still look like a great dance with support with only 1 to 10, and you can make your beginner dancer look great too, at least much better than they think they are. 100%, Lily. I agree with that. Um, okay, Edwin. Hi. California? Yes, I think so. Okay, so I have 1 point over here first. Tyrek first said, it's the horrible egos in the dance community that I'll never understand. People learn how to dance and all of a sudden become gods. I keep on forgetting to post this, and I actually had this illustration done by, the name is escaping me right now. Beautiful artist from California. Anyways, I will find it before I post it because I'm going to definitely give her credit for it. She did this beautiful illustration because somebody had asked me in an interview, like, oh, how do you stay humble? Right. Not to say that I don't know what I'm capable of. I'm not pretending like, oh, I don't know anything. No, I know what I'm capable of. However, I believe that I am at the level that I'm at, not because I turned into a god, not because I grew wings so I could fly, but because I am standing on the shoulders of many, many, many people underneath me. Reason I'm up there is because people have helped me get up there, right? My talent and my skill, sure, yeah, I can say that no one taught that to me. But where would I have gotten a chance to create that if not with many partners that I got to explore and experiment with? Right? All of those social dances, maybe you haven't directly helped me. Maybe I haven't taken a class or a lesson to learn something. But every moment on the dance floor, every moment shared with people, even the environment of a social, are a bunch of people that are contributing to my growth directly as my partner or indirectly, just being there. Right. So for me, yeah, of course, I still stay connected to everyone else because I understand that I can't be here without all of you. So, yeah, I mean, I got to find that illustration. It's a really beautiful illustration. She did such an amazing job. Like, I kind of told her, I was like, oh, I want this person grayed out, and I want those people in color, and these people grayed out, and the ladder here with wings, and da da da. And she just like, she took that and perfectly illustrated it. So I will post that soon. Comment from Judy. I have a hard time with improv and styling when we separate from the partner. Do you have any tips? Um, Excellent question. Also part of the Empowered Movement Intensive that I just did in Hawaii for my Hawaiian folks here. And if we end up doing the next one on partner work, we'll definitely be touching on this improvisation with your partner. One of the simplest things is actually mimicking, right? Um, Even if you don't know that much, you can usually watch your partner and get some inspiration from them instead of constantly feeling like you need to create or that you need to remember all of these things that you've learned in past and previous classes. Look right in front of you and see what somebody else is doing in front of you and see how you could maybe adapt or take a little portion of that and then repeat that. It's a really, really easy way to play with someone in a way that allows you to express yourself while you're separated from your partner, but also allows you to still stay connected to your partner because you're doing something that they're kind of doing. In many of my dances, you'll see these moments where I'll see that my partner is taking on something and I'm like, oh, you know what? I've never done a movement like that. Let me see what he's doing and then see if I can mimic that or see if I can adapt it to something that I want to do. So your partner is a great inspiration. Doesn't always have to be all of these things that you try and remember and you try and drill right before going to a class or sorry, going to a social so that you can, you know, pull it out when you need it. There's that element too. However, there's also the element of like just looking in front of you and seeing what you see and seeing if you can create what you're seeing. um, Edwin said, if I'm a dance instructor, I'll spend 95% of my time with my students at beginners and intermediate level. It's my way to bring them up, to cheer them up. Not all about the steps. It's all about more. It's also about morale. Excellent point. Um, if I'm a teacher and I'm going out, I'm not spending 95%. I'm not committing anything to anybody, actually. So I appreciate your commitment, but I don't take that approach. I'm going off of my feeling and what I feel like doing that day. If I have a bunch of students, I'm not necessarily going to be ignoring them, but I'm also not dedicating 95% of my time to anyone or anything because when I'm out at a social, it's a feeling. You know, there's a lot of energy inside of me that needs to come out and it needs to be expressed in a certain way. And if I can find its outlet in expression, then I'm going to go after that. There are many other times that I can dedicate time to students and all that stuff, but I like I said before, when we go to a social, I'm there to enjoy that time just like everybody else. That's why most of the time, what I do is I include a social within my intensives. When I do intensives, we have a bunch of instruction, a couple few hours of instruction, and then we have a social to follow up, which is I am 100% of the time there for all of my students because I can dedicate that because my mind state, my mental state is in that moment to work just with my students. But when I go out into a social atmosphere, that's like the Wild West for me, right? I am there to have fun and do all of these other things and whatever kind of inspires me in that moment is what it's what I'm probably going to do, and that could be not even dancing. That could just be seeing a friend who I haven't seen in years and catching up. So yeah, I don't like making commitments like that because the honest truth is that I can't make that commitment. It would be a lie, and if I felt something different, those 95% of the people that I'm spending all my time with would feel that I didn't necessarily want to be there. So um, I admire that. I encourage that if you'd like to do that. I, on the other hand, have a slightly different approach. Still honest, still super connected, but I will connect with you when I can. And I don't force connection on anybody. That includes other people because there are many people who I haven't seen in a long time. I ask them to dance, and maybe they don't feel like dancing, right? And what am I going to do? Well, we haven't seen each other. We should no. I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. I don't chase people. Yeah. I'll ask a few times, but I don't chase anybody and I don't force anyone to do anything. So, coffee break. Throw in your comments. You have any other questions? Oh, actually, no. Maybe we shouldn't be doing more questions. Felician said, if you allow me, I'll reuse that way to explain for my students sometimes. Of course, please, by all means. Um, James said, would competition. Okay, let me take a sip because I lifted this before and I didn't take a sip. I'm going to take a sip now of my cold coffee. Um, James asked, would competitions be a good measure of your dancing? Some dancers seem not to enjoy the dance. They seem more concerned about their lines and technique in socials. Um, yes, it depends. Again, it really depends on what is your goal. If you don't like social dancing, but you like performing and you like the idea of creating art and going on stage, yeah, competitions are great. Performances are a great way to do, right? If you enjoy social dancing, then competitions don't play a role in that. If you want to rank higher so that you can get more gigs and bookings and all that stuff, then maybe you want to participate in competitions so that you can place and so that you can say you've done these competitions. And, obviously, if you won first, second, third place, then that looks very good on your dance resume, right? I don't compete. And I'll tell you, I think I would be disqualified in the preliminaries. I don't even know if I'd ever make it to the bloody semifinals or finals. And the reason is because I break a lot of rules. And it's not to say, again, back to that beginner, intermediate, advanced, right? If this post advanced is breaking all the rules, right? Yes, I can do beginner, but why? Back to purpose. Why? Why do I want to put all my effort into seeing if I can do this basic movement or these movements with this time the way everyone else is kind of doing it, but better than them? It's not my goal. My goal is really free creative expression and connection with sorry, and connection with my partner. That's my goal. And so everything I do is towards my goal. I'm not discouraging other people from doing whatever it is that they want to do. If they want to compete, if they just want to perform, they don't want to social dance, they just want to train with the same person all the time, up to you. But know your purpose. Know why you're doing the things that you're doing. Otherwise, everything that you're doing, just wasting time. Could be doing something that you actually enjoy, that's actually going to get you closer to something you love, instead of doing something because someone else told you to do it or because um, you think that that's the way that you're going to get to their level of satisfaction when they've already defined their purpose as something else, something other than what your purpose is. Whew. Okay. Judy, I'm so glad that answered your question. Thanks. Love to see your fun interplay with your partners. I like the call and response in the music. Oh, happy birthday to I didn't even read that part before I showed it. Okay, Alvin. This is a long comment. Let me see if I don't get hidden by it. From Hawaii. Sorry that you missed the workshop, but I'm after the Empowered Movement Intensive last weekend, we're definitely doing another edition of that in April. It's going to be dope. If you are on the West Coast or if you're in Hawaii, you can always drop in too. You can always sign up for that. It'll be great to see you. And of course, the fun after. That's the best part. Alvin said, I agree with your I agree with your perspective about levels. Dancing for 9 years, I always loved social dancing more than performing. I realized it's that our dancing is an extension of our personalities, along with your ability to create rapport, trust, and connection with who we dance with, regardless of level. I always have a goal to make my partner smile and have a good time and feel comfortable. The best social dances are when you feel that the two of you are the only couple and the rest of your comment got cut off. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Excellent point. Um, excellent point. All right, let me go through here real quickly. Uh, Andrea said, I've always heard if you're tall, dancing may be harder for you to get chosen in auditions. Is this true? Not sure, to be honest. I'm not auditioning anybody, and the shows that I've done, the group shows, choreographies that I did not have anything to do with someone's height. And I've danced with different height dancers too, and never really had an issue. I mean, ultimately, you can create and adapt to people's strengths and limitations. And that's the goal of a good choreographer too, right? And Sekou, actually, we got Andrea Sekou McMiller, amazing dancer, had been in the game for longer than I have, a phenomenal performer and choreographer. He says depends on the dance styles because for some projects you need tall people. So in that sense, we would even get people that work that where the tall people are actually necessary. Most of the things, ultimately, I would say most of the things are dependent, right? There are a lot of factors. There's no one formula, one solution for everything. It really does depend on what you're trying to create, what image you're trying to present, all of those things, right? If I was, if I am trying to create an illusion of a bunch of small people. Like if I was trying to create an illusion of myself being really, really tiny, then I'd probably need tall people in reference to me, right? If I was surrounded by a bunch of people my height, I would look like average height, right? So things like that really depend on, again, the image that I'm trying to create. When you are in a team or a choreography, a performance, there's something that you're trying to create, and you're going to try and find the people that can do that for you, right? Same thing goes with even like just level of skill and flexibility, right? There are some people who are super like I don't think that I would doesn't matter how musical and all that stuff is. I don't think I could get into Cirque du Soleil because I got none of that flexibility, right? So sure, I could train. Maybe at my age, probably not as easily, but there are already people out there that can do that, right? So if I was auditioning, if I'm the director and I'm auditioning people for these acrobatics and weird contortions and stuff like that, yeah, I'm probably not going to audition someone who doesn't already have some of those traits within them. If I wanted to fit somebody into a box, yeah, I'm going to find someone who actually fits into that box, right? So, not a bad thing, just depends on what someone's looking for. And again, I would not take it personally in whatever case if you're auditioning and you don't get the part because of what you look like, right? Don't take it personally. It's just not the right fit. There'll be other things that you can do, you know? Okay. Paulina, she said, I'd just like to thank you to being such an amazing personality. I like the way you think and the way you explain your vision. You let people be a bit better after your workshops. I appreciate that. That is always my goal, at least. All right. Let me just scroll through this. Ahmed in the house from Egypt. Feeling is everything. Judy Ortega. Okay. I think we're gonna wrap up. Again, I keep on saying it, 30 minutes, and then it goes into an hour. But I'm getting better. Wade told me last time. He said, it's progress, right? It used to be like an hour and a half, and at least I've gotten better at like limiting it to an hour. Again, this will be available. This replay of this live chat will be available on my YouTube channel as soon as it's processed. If you want to show support, of course, throw a like the channel, support the channel, throw comments on there. If you have questions that I have not answered, please add them to the YouTube comments of this replay or pretty much any video. That's where I can find them ultimately because they won't post it anywhere else. And I know a live chat usually has questions, so I can relate the questions that I see in the comments to what we actually discuss. It makes it a lot easier for me to address that in a future live chat. And again, if you're on Instagram, you want to show your support in another way, you can always buy a badge. It's like a coffee, and Facebook and YouTube, that's also available to you. It's called Coffee. Uh, I mean, I will drink it. I promise. If you're getting it for me, I'm going to drink it. It won't take me this long. This is cold coffee. Cold iced coffee, right? So, thank you again for joining today. It was a pleasure to be here with all of you. Looks like I'm just here with myself, but I really appreciate your comments, your questions. I appreciate your participation. Um, and again, going back to the main topic of this live, which is how good are you really? As you advance, and we are all going to advance. Beauty is, I don't care what level you're at, you are going to get better, right? As long as you stick to it, keep at it, you are going to get better. And that's amazing. However, understand that everything else that you learn, every way that you grow, you still got to hold on to what you knew before. And the reason is because you never know who who you are going to communicate with. And if they are not at this level of communication and dialogue, then you got to be able to bring it down. Because our goal when it comes to social dancing, okay, our goal when it comes to social dancing, I would hope, is connecting with our partner. The partner dance is connecting with someone. Our goal when it comes to communicating is connecting with the people in front of us, right? I mean, I'm not here talking just to talk. I'm here to answer, to connect with all of you. That's why I'm trying to present things in this way, because I've gotten these questions so often, because I'm getting your questions in chat. So I'm trying to make that connection. And I will always focus on that connection and adapt what I know and what I pull out to facilitate that connection. So if you think about your connection first and foremost with your partners, conversation or nonverbal dance conversation, you think about that first and foremost, you will start to see that you probably already have the tools, and that as beginners, it's not about are you good enough to dance with an advanced dancer. It is about that advanced dancer. Are you good enough? Really? Are you an advanced dancer? Are you really good enough to dance with a beginner still? Okay. Um, thank you very much. Sherry, will I be having any workshops? I might be doing another one in New Jersey, live and what's it called? Hybrid workshop. So online and live, like I did last time. I'll let you know when that comes about. A couple of other projects. I've got some masterclass edits that I want to add and upload. Going back to our fundamentals, these three courses are super great basics for everybody, not just your basic. It's not even about the salsa movement. It's about like really understanding your movement, your fundamental, how to turn, pivot, all that stuff, and then how to create. Right. So there are three master classes I'll be releasing soon. They will be released most likely with limited registration, because what I'd like to do with them is give you the opportunity to go through the content, like maybe a month, give you that chance to go through all the content. Once you've gone through it, then we can have engagement and I can give some feedback. So it'll be limited registration so that I can make sure I can give that like proper feedback to everyone who's actually registered in the course. Still time. I have a lot of work to do with that. But of course, you will all know about it once it's ready. Hopefully, wish me luck, not luck, wish me discipline. That's what I really need. Wish me discipline that I can get it done in the next 2 months so that you can then have that accessible to all of you as well. Okay. Yes, musicality partner work, please, in New Jersey. Oh yeah, that's right, Henry. I forgot about that one. Maybe I'll do that one. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely afternoon. A fantastic rest of your weekend, wherever you are in the world. Thank you again for joining from all of these different places around the globe and the different time zones. I really appreciate it. As always, appreciate your input, your questions, your support. It means the world to me, and I'm going to find that image so I can share it, because it was a really, 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 really good illustration. And I'll see you next month. Have a lovely day. Bye, everyone. Realize I should also kind of stay online a little bit just to say bye instead of just boom bouncing, right? Thank you, Wade. Appreciate it. Hi, Dora from Mexico. Alvin, I have no idea what your comment was. I hope you can send that to me in maybe copy paste that and then finish it. Send it to me in a private message because clearly sorry, Facebook comments have a limit to how much you can write. Bye, everyone. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Oh, well, we got one last point. Caesar says, "Hi, Magna. Admire you and have been following you for many years. Thank you. Been dancing for 10, and I think that the most important thing is adaptation, originality, and improvisation. Feeling the music, improvising. I think many dancers here in Guatemala love Guatemala. Just like to memorize steps and get on stage, forget the improvisation part and feel the music." Well, like I said, I think that it really depends on leadership. You know, it is what you make important to your students that they will start to think is important to them until they develop their own awareness, self awareness, and their own purpose and their own goals. They will be following most likely their teachers. So if the teachers can provide that focus on improvisation and connection and adaptation, then students can start to focus on that too. Uh, Sabrina, cold coffee makes beautiful, even though you don't need it. Oh, well, thank you. Well, technically, I'm not even drinking it, so I don't know if it's making me beautiful or not because I'm not drinking it. Plamena, loved it as always. Thank you. Thank you. Tamana, thank you for. Oh, no, I don't think I said that right. Someone forever. Pleasure to have you here. Bye, everybody. Now I'm really saying bye. Peace. Oh, is that awkward goodbye, right? Love you all. Thank you so much for being here.